next on elections. So, I mean, the rhetoric is just, and this is another one it really frustrates, I'm frustrated with myself for doing this, for voting for him in 2024 for this reason, maybe more than any other, because of, I mean, it's not as grossly violent, but because of the promise I made myself in 2020 after he denied that election. I do not believe the 2020 election was stolen. There's 60 plus court cases with Trump appointed judges presiding over them, and not a shred of evidence could be brought forward to make any legitimate claims. They're all thrown out. So yeah, I mean, that was a big lie, all of it. And I made a promise to myself that I would not vote for anybody who supported that in 2022. So during the 2022 midterms, I did not vote for any Republican who supported the big lie of 2020 being stolen. And then in 2024, like I said, I ended up voting for Trump because of the anti-war rhetoric. Honestly, another reason probably is because the incident of him almost getting assassinated was just so shocking and mind-blowing, and now I have even more questions about that. That's a whole other topic, right? So, I mean, the rhetoric has now come to action with elections, right? He sent Tulsi Gabbard, the FBI, down to Fulton, Georgia, to confiscate all the 2020 ballots. They just did that this past week. And even with going back to the ICE situation in Minneapolis, Pam Bondi basically sent a ransom note to Tim Walz threatening or saying that the only way we will pull back on ICE is if we get possession of all of your voter rolls, right? So you can see where this is all heading and where this is all going. The rhetoric matches it, and now we see the actions coming in the real world of what he's actually trying to do. So, I mean, it's just undeniable at this point. They're going to try to steal the midterms, possibly the election. He talks constantly about running for a third term, or possibly the presidential election. You're gearing up in whatever way they can to influence the midterms. I'm sure they have a bunch of different strategies around that, from clearing voter rolls to decreasing mail-in voting, right? I mean, that's been a long-term Republican strategy of they are more successful when less people vote. So anything that falls into that category will be used, as well as just naked authoritarianism, right? Being from Indiana, Mike Pence was obviously a big influence politically where I grew up. He's from Indiana. He was the governor of Indiana. And this is one thing that does give me some hope, as little as it may be, that people could be turned around, particularly on this issue, conservatives and Republicans, is that even my own dad, who is, a big, conservative and Republican, he constantly talks about how Mike Pence is a good man and how he made the right decision in 2020 by not giving in to Trump and by certifying the election despite all the pressure. J.D. Vance has already spoken out and said that he would not have done that had he been vice president during 2020. So that's another major reason for concern, that the people are in place in the second term to really take it to the next level. Yeah, so that's kind of my summary on the election side of things. Is there's obviously an all-out blitz, not only rhetorically, but also in action now, with going out to influence and perhaps steal the midterm elections, because the polling is already massively in the favor of Democrats, and especially that special election that just happened at a state senate in Texas, in a district that's been always majorly red is now fully blue. The alarm bells are ringing. They're going to pull out all the stops to try to keep the House in the midterms and possibly give Trump a third term somehow in the next at the end of this term.